We are back with a recap of the Blue Jackets snapping their 5-game losing streak at home in Torts' homecoming to Columbus against the Philadelphia Flyers. We're just going to get right into it. Before the game even started, Sean Corrali and Kent Johnson were some new injury scratches, with Emil Bemstrom and Brendan Gaunce being called up from Cleveland heading into the lineup. And right away, Johnny Gaudreau was dominant against the team that he was rumored to be interested in playing for, but the Flyers then came out and said, we're not willing to make the cap space and make any moves really necessary in order to get Johnny Gaudreau. So that left Columbus with enough open space, and I guess a well-timed phone call to land Johnny Gaudreau, and he was dominant immediately. Starting in the first period, he with an absolute snipe on Carter Hart. And then he was the primary assist on Zach Werenski's first period goal. More on Zach Werenski later as we get on. In between those two goals, however, Matthew Olivier and Nick Deslauriers had a fight. It was like an old school. They both knew what was going on. It wasn't caused by any rough hit or anything. Just kind of, hey, you want to fight? Yep, let's fight. Let's do it. It kind of ends in a bit of a stalemate where they both land some punches. They both just kind of stop at the same time and just, they just head to the box. Did that really do anything for the Jackets? Probably not. I think, if anything, it would be more encouraging for the Flyers, who are down 1. But that's what they brought in Olivier to do, to be able to, rough it up with other teams' tough players. And if he takes out Nick Deslauriers for 5 minutes, then I guess that's the trade-off there. Nick Blankenburg would also get in a fight after clearing out a crease after Corpy he iced the puck, and then Blankenburg just shoved somebody down out of his crease, and then that got in a scuffle. Jonas Korpisalo was actually really solid throughout the entire game. I do think there was a better defensive effort than usual also to go with that. But Corpy, sometimes they did hang him out to dry a few times, but Korpisalo was really solid. He had a calm presence about him that I think the rest of the team kind of felt, and was confident enough to be able to do stuff like clear the crease and get scrappy with the Flyers. And then, Korpisalo would be able to clean up pretty much everything that leaked through. So good, solid goaltending performance on a team that does need solid goaltending, even with a better defensive effort. And then later on in the first period, Z would be hurt going into the boards, and he would not return to the game. Again, more on that a little later. Boone Jenner would get a goal in the second period on a 3-on-2 on a rush with Gaudreau and Laine. At first, when Laine passed it to Jenner, I was a little disappointed, but then seeing that Boone Jenner getting that goal was, made it fine again. Corpy started getting some work as the top unit of the power play gave up some shorthanded opportunities again. I thought the second unit who started out that power play was actually fine, but then once they got off and the first unit took over, then it got a little sloppy. And the power play, again, it looked pretty lifeless again, but the Jackets got the win. They didn't need it, but that is something to monitor looking forward. Eric Branson then takes a rough ride into the boards. He would leave the game. Originally, Nick Deslauriers was giving, I think, a boarding penalty or something, but they reviewed it and they took the penalty away. The crowd didn't like it. At the time, I didn't like it, but looking back at the replay, Goodbranson just kind of falls, and Nick Deslauriers, he can't just stop on a dime or anything. It's clear that he wasn't trying to lay into him or anything. It's just kind of his legs he has to keep moving somehow. It's a game played on ice. Sometimes bad stuff happens, but it would have been nice to at least get a consultation power play out of it. So now the Blue Jackets were down to 4 defensemen. The Flyers would get some momentum, and Tony DeAngelo, of course, it's Tony DeAngelo, barely tapping in a rebound from the backboards. Corpy had his hand on it, but he just, again, it was just his arm against Nick Deslauriers' shot, and it goes across the line just by a little bit. 3-1, you can't stop them all, I guess. But the CBJ entered the third period. They were up 2 goals, but they were down 2 of their defensemen due to injury. So it was going to be really interesting to see how that would play out. With about 7 minutes left in the game, Provorov would get a tap in. The Jackets were actually doing a very decent job of shelling up and playing sound defensively with, again, 4 defensemen. So the defensemen are tired. They're going to want to be subbing those guys in and out as quick as they possibly can. And then, they're going to get 1 goal eventually, but the Jackets, again, they sell out. They do everything they can. And Blankenburg and Jenner with empty net goals to seal it. Brendan Gaunce getting the assist off a face-off win on the Blankenburg empty net goal. So good for Brendan Gaunce to take advantage of him coming in and getting a point off of that. The Zach Werenski injury, looks to be bad. Brad Larson said as much. He said, like, it's not going to be a good injury. Eric Branson not expected to be as serious, although he's expected to miss some time, although it doesn't seem like nearly as much as Zach Werenski is expected to miss. Before the game, John Tortorella stuck up for Brad Larson, which I'm not surprised at. Lars is Torts' guy. Of course, he's going to stick up for him, and I think he's going to stick up for any active NHL coach pretty much at all time. Torts isn't going to say that any NHL coach should be fired. Of course, he's going to stick up for one of his own guys. But John Tortorella and Lars have a very good relationship, so of course I'm not surprised to see Torts taking a hard stance on Brad Larson being the guy to pull the Blue Jackets out of this slump, and maybe he still could be. I don't think that Brad Larson's job is suddenly saved for the season or anything, but if the Blue Jackets keep putting in efforts like that, then I think Brad Larson could definitely keep his job longer than maybe we thought heading into this game. Korpisalo getting his first win since March 19th, and he deserves it. That was an incredible game that he played. He saved 32 out of 34 shots, so he had a very solid game, stopped a lot of high-danger chances on a night where the Jackets, 5 goals is enough support. 2 of them were empty netters, and it was really nice to see Corpy have that third period that he had to keep the Flyers down in the game to where they did have to empty their net, and the Jackets could get a couple goals there. And I feel like the Jackets just got a scrappy win after a stretch of play where their effort has been called into question. This was a really good character win, but it seems to have come at the cost of Zach Werenski, and how that affects the lineup moving forward, we're going to see. I think they already called up a couple defensemen from Cleveland. They called up Gavin Bayreuther, which isn't a surprise, and Marcus Bjork, who they signed in the offseason, so that will be his NHL debut. I think he does come over from Finland, although I could be wrong on that. But I think this was a really good character win for the Jackets. That Zach Werenski injury doesn't seem to be good. It seems like it's going to be long-term, and the way that everybody's being so somber about it, potentially season-ending. That's what I'm just hoping that it doesn't end his season. By the way, people are talking about it. I hope it's just a normal 4 to 6 weeks, or I'll even take a few months. But if this is going to take his season out of the question, then that's just unfortunate for Zach Werenski and this Blue Jacket squad moving forward. They'll be without their best defenseman, which is that on a defense that's already struggling. They had a solid game last night, but on a defense that's already struggling, you don't want to see Zach Werenski go down. But overall, you will take the 2 points any way you can get them. Hopefully the Blue Jackets can show some resilience that they've shown in years past, and just keep chugging forward as the schedule gets a little bit easier moving forward. So thank you all for watching. If you made it this far, please feel free to leave a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed the video and like to see more like it. Let me know if you have something to say about this game down in the comments below, and I will see you at the next one.